Book of Deuteronomy, the final words of Moses, a journey of remembering, choosing, and remaining faithful. The story of Deuteronomy begins in a place filled with memories. The children of Israel are standing on the plains of Moab, just across the Jordan River from the Promised Land. For 40 years they had wandered through the wilderness. They had watched a generation rise and fall. They had experienced miracles beyond imagination. The Red Sea opening before them, bread falling from heaven, water flowing from a rock, the presence of God guiding them through fire and cloud. But now a new generation stands before Moses. The young children who once followed their parents through the desert are now adults. They are the generation that will enter Canaan. But before they cross the Jordan, God gives Moses one final assignment: remind them, prepare them, teach them. The name Deuteronomy means second law, or repetition of the law. It is not a new law, it is Moses repeating and explaining God's covenant to a new generation. The book is the final message of a man who knows his earthly journey is coming to an end. Moses is not just giving instructions, he is passing on a spiritual inheritance. Moses begins by taking Israel back through their history. He reminds them of the journey from Mount Sinai. He reminds them how God provided. He reminds them of their greatest failure, the moment they stood at the edge of Canaan and refused to enter because they were afraid of the giants. Moses says, in essence, you have seen what happens when you forget God. Their parents had witnessed God's power, but they allowed fear to control them. They had chosen the wilderness over the promise. Now, Moses warns the new generation, do not repeat the mistakes of those before you. History is a teacher. We honor the past not by staying in it, but by learning from it. The failures of previous generations should become warnings, not patterns. One of the most powerful moments in Deuteronomy comes when Moses declares, "Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. Love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your strength." Deuteronomy 6:4-5. Moses reveals the foundation of the relationship between God and his people. Not just obedience, not just rituals, but love. God did not want Israel to follow him because they were afraid. He wanted them to follow him because they knew him. Moses tells parents to teach their children about God. Talk about him at home. Talk about him on the journey. Talk about him every day, because faith is not only inherited through blood, it is transferred through teaching and example. A faith that is not passed to the next generation can disappear in one generation. Moses warns Israel about a danger greater than hunger, a danger greater than enemies, a danger called forgetfulness. He tells them, when you enter the land and build beautiful houses, when your fields produce abundance, when you have wealth and success, do not forget the Lord who brought you out of Egypt. Moses understood something about human nature. People often cry out to God in difficulty, but forget God in comfort. The wilderness taught them dependence. The promised land would test their gratitude. Sometimes the greatest test of faith is not suffering, but success. A person who remembers God in blessing will remain humble. Moses presents Israel with a choice, two paths, two futures. He tells them, I have set before you life and death, blessings and curses, now choose life. God was not forcing them. Love requires a choice. Obedience requires a choice. Every generation must decide, will we walk with God, or will we follow our own ways? The same question comes to every believer today. Moses describes what will happen if Israel rejects God. He speaks of hardship, defeat, and suffering, not because God enjoys punishment, but because separation from God leads away from life. A loving father warns his children because he wants to protect them. Moses explains that obedience brings blessing, peace, protection, fruitfulness, God's presence, but rebellion brings destruction. God's commands are not chains to limit us, they are boundaries to protect us. Moses gathers the people and renews the covenant. He reminds them, the promise belongs not only to those standing there, but also to their children and future generations. God's relationship with Israel is not based only on what happened in the past. Every generation must personally respond to God. You cannot live forever on someone else's faith. As Deuteronomy moves toward its conclusion, the atmosphere changes. The powerful leader who confronted Pharaoh, the prophet who spoke with God, the man who carried Israel through the wilderness, now prepares to leave. God tells Moses, "You will see the land, but you will not enter it." Moses accepts God's decision. He appoints Joshua as his successor. He places responsibility into younger hands. A great leader understands that God's work is bigger than one person. God's servants have seasons. The goal is not to hold on forever. The goal is to prepare others to continue the mission. Before his departure, Moses teaches Israel a song. This song tells their story, God's faithfulness, Israel's failures, God's mercy. It is a reminder they can carry for generations. Songs have a way of preserving truth in the hearts of people. Before Moses dies, he blesses the tribes of Israel. Like Jacob blessed his sons in Genesis, Moses blesses the future of God's people. He speaks words of hope. He reminds them that their future is secure because their God is faithful. Then Moses climbs Mount Nebo. From there, God shows him the promised land. He sees the place he dreamed about, the place he led Israel toward for 40 years, but he does not step into it. Moses dies there. The great leader of Israel is gone, but the promise continues. The book ends with these powerful words. Since then, no prophet has risen in Israel like Moses, whom the Lord knew face to face. Deuteronomy 34:10. Israel mourns Moses for 30 days. Then Joshua takes leadership. The wilderness journey is over. The promised land is waiting. A new chapter begins. Deuteronomy is a book about never forget what God has done. Faith is more than rules. It is a relationship. Every generation must decide whom they will serve. What we teach today shapes tomorrow. Moses did not enter the promised land, but he completed his assignment. The story of Deuteronomy is the story of a God who walks with his people through every season. He was with Israel in Egypt. He was with them in the wilderness. He was waiting for them in the promised land. The question Moses placed before Israel is still the question before every generation. Will you remember God? Will you love God? Will you choose the path that leads to life? Because the greatest journey is not the journey to a place. The greatest journey is the journey with God.